I'm going to address a different category every day this week. Now, today, we're going to talk about your tablets. Did you get one for the holidays? Is it still in the box? Well, you're in the right place because I'm going to talk with you today about some things you absolutely need to know in order to make that device work for you. Now, I'm a really big proponent on making sure your tech works for you, not for your daughter, not for your son, but for you. And we know that grandkids know how to use those devices really well, right? And so today I want to teach you how to make your new tablet work for you. Now, before I get started, I want to go ahead and tell you something. Listen, if you need to send me a question, if you need to communicate with me during this webinar, go ahead and email me. You can text me. Please don't call me right now, but you can text me and those will pop up right here and I'll be able to answer them in the moment, okay? You can always email me questions afterwards, and then I'll answer them as we get through this whole week. I'll be sure to address them. Now, I'm just queuing this up right now. There's my email address, abby@seniorsavvy.net, and my phone number. Feel free to text me a question. I have students that do this during my class, and I can definitely keep my eye there to make sure I'm answering your questions. So if this is your first time joining me, my name is Abby Ritchie. I do tech workshops at different communities across the country. I absolutely love working with older adults. I'm passionate about helping you use your technology your way. And if you can answer yes to any of these questions, do you have a tablet? Chances are you do. You know, research shows that there's about 76% of older adults who have about 6 or more devices per person. So I'm thinking you probably do have a tablet. Is it still in the box? I know some of your gifts are still in the box and you don't know what the heck to do with them. Do you want to learn to use it? If so, you are in the right place. And I'm so thrilled that you're here. I love working with you guys. You are lifelong learners and you want to continue to learn and learn and learn. And I love being with you for that reason. So again, feel free to email me or text me your questions. Now, in the workshops that we do at the communities across the country, we get detailed. That's right. I don't get techie though. I'm going to keep things real simple for you, but I want you to know that this webinar today is just the tip of the iceberg. That's all. I'm going to try to teach you, but also let you know that if you want to dive in more, we got to do that in a workshop where I can interact with you. So in regards to tablets, I want to know, which team are you on? Are you on the Apple team or are you on the Samsung Galaxy team? Or you might even be on the third team, which is the Fire Kindle team. Did I miss any? You let me know. Go ahead and text me or email me and let me know if I'm missing your particular tablet. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to talk about the iPad, and then I'll talk about the Galaxy. And then I'll talk about the iPad, and then I'll talk about the Galaxy. And I'm going to do this so that you know I care about you no matter what team you're on, okay? So first and foremost, I love to give you guys a diagram. I'm crazy about diagrams because I found that most of our devices these days, they don't come with a manual, do they? No, they just hand you the baby and say, here you go. Do well. Look it up online, watch a YouTube video. So for me, I want to make sure you have a basic understanding of your technology, a basic understanding, because I know that when you know what all those buttons mean and how to power it on and off and what the right vocabulary is for this or that, I know that you're empowered and you feel confident to continue to learn. So I've got a couple diagrams. See, remember I told you I was going to do the Apple one and then I'm going to do the Samsung one. So, and if you want a copy of this, if you want me to email you this so you can print it out, I want you to connect with me and do that. Okay, I'll give you a chance again toward the end. Now, this iPad diagram does not have a home button on it, whereas this one does. So do tell me which one of your iPads have a home button and which one does not. So now we have this one, again, does not have the home button on it. And maybe the majority of you have one that looks just like this. You let me know if you want a copy of this diagram. Now, if you're using a Samsung tablet, here's the diagram for you. I love for you to know where all the buttons and the features are. In the workshop, we dive in deep and we go through each and every one of them. Now, here's a little bit about navigation. I don't know if anyone's ever taught you this before, but down at the bottom of most of your Samsung Galaxy tablets, there's just a swipe up. Swipe up to go to the next screen. Swipe up to close it out. Swipe up to navigate. That's down at the bottom. And then there's usually these three buttons there. Number 2 is to go back. Number 3 is home. And number 4 is recent. So if you were recently reading a book in the Kindle app, you can tap there to go to recent. Now, in the iPad keyboard, I want to point out a couple of things to you, just so that you probably know how to use this. But I want to show you number 4. There's a microphone there. And you know what that means? That means that you can dictate anything. So if you're just tapping away, trying to type up an email or something like that, well, you can select the microphone and use your mouth instead. Research tells us that we can dictate 4 times as much faster than we can type. If you want to make that pesky keyboard go away, select number 5 and make the keyboard go down. Now, one thing I want to talk to you about, whether this is your iPad or your Samsung Galaxy tablet, this is yours. And what that means is I want you to rearrange the furniture. Now, my mom is an interior designer, and even when she goes into a hotel room, if everything's not in the right place, she wants to move it around so that it has the right energy. She knows the right place. Just like on your phone or your tablet, you got to move things around so that the things that you're going to use the most, maybe it's Safari, maybe it's Kindle, maybe it's Netflix, are easily accessible to you. Okay. And so I want you to learn to rearrange the furniture here so that you know where everything is located. Now, down at the bottom, that's called the dock. And the things that you use most often, you're going to want to put down there at the bottom. Now, I want to talk about some settings, some apps, some ways that you can customize your device so that it suits you. One of the number 1 things that you're going to need to know when you're using an Apple device is your Apple ID. Let's think of it as a driver's license. You wouldn't get in the car and drive without your license, right? So the Apple ID identifies you with the device. And every Apple device, whether it's an iPhone or an iPad, has got to be assigned to one person and their Apple ID. So this is one of those things that you definitely want to know. You want to know what your Apple ID. If you're using a Samsung Galaxy, you're going to associate that device with a Google account. And usually that's a Gmail address. And again, you're going to want to know this because it's going to help you to customize your device. In your settings, there's just a plethora of ways that you can customize your device so it suits you, whether it means increasing your font size, or it means going into a dark mode instead of the light mode, or it means being able to find your flashlight. All of these items are inside your settings. So if you're going to spend time in one of these categories, I'd say definitely spend time here because it's going to help you to customize things so that they're exactly the way you want them to be, which is going to be very different than your son or your daughter. Now, one thing that people always seem to ask about are those annoying pop-ups. People will say to me, I get all these annoying pop-ups and I never asked for them. And you know what? Those pop-ups are actually notifications. That's the real term for that. So if you're getting a notification for something and you don't want it like every single news story or a Facebook picture or an update here, you need to go into your notifications in your settings and correct that, okay? Because the default is that every single app is notifying you of any changes. And that's a whole lot of annoying pop-ups. For myself, I usually have just about five. And so I highlighted here where it says number 3, that's where you go into notifications and you toggle off all the things you don't want to be notified by. Mine are usually, I want email notifications, call notifications, maybe Facebook notifications, definitely Uber or Lyft notifications. But other than that, there's not a whole lot I want to be bothered with. Another thing I want you to do, I want you to own your device. Even if your son or your daughter gave you this device, I want you to own it, okay? So the way that she had it set up may not be the way that works best for you. Now, I talked about this a little bit when I talked about rearranging the furniture, making sure you could find your camera app, making sure you know where your email app is and it's convenient and easy for you to get to. And a lot of my clients take the device and don't customize it. And I want you to consider, all right, if you were going to rent a car, drive a car, you'd get in the car, and you know, and I know the first thing you do without even thinking about it is start making the necessary adjustments, right? To the mirror, to the seat, make sure you can touch the pedals. You do that because they told us to. And so right now, I want you to own your device. Now, we dive into this much, much deeper in the workshop. And I would love to be able to talk to you about all the various settings and customizations you can do. And I would love to do that. But today, I'm just going to tip the iceberg with you. That's all. Hey, are you learning something? Have you learned something new about notifications and customizations? If so, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, as I am so glad that you're learning today. Now, there are a couple of other things I want to talk about. Within your Apple device, your iPad, or your tablet, there is a digital assistant. And this digital assistant, maybe her name starts with S, maybe her name starts with A, or G, or E, or D. This assistant can easily become your BFF. That's right, your BFF. And you know what that means? That means that she is going to serve you for many, many days to come. Now, it looks like I've got a hand up. Someone's asking me a question from somewhere, and I'm glad that you are. But could you please go ahead and email or text me your question, and I would be happy to answer it. We don't have the right way for you to do that right now today, but here is my email address. And there's my phone number. And I want you to go ahead and email me your question, or go ahead and text it to me. I'll keep my eye out for you, okay? Let's get back to this, because this is very, very, very important. The digital assistant. The digital assistant here is going to become your BFF. Why? You may have a whole bunch of friends. This one is going to be able to support you for years and years to come. As we age, we lose the dexterity in our fingers. Our eyesight starts to diminish. But this friend here she's going to know you because you've been speaking to her. You've been speaking into her. She understands your vocabulary and your coughs, and that your daughter is this one and not that one. And she understands because you've been talking to your digital assistant. We dive into this deep in our workshop so that you can be comfortable using the digital assistants. But people always ask me, how do I get started? I don't know what to ask it. And what I always say is start simple. Ask basic questions. What day is it today? What's the weather outside? What time is it in London? What time is it in Paris right now? Start simple. What was the score of the basketball game last night? And because you're starting simple, the digital assistant is getting to know all of your vocal cues, okay? Start with the basics, simple things, short, simple sentences. That's where I say I recommend you start. In the Google devices, the Google Assistant is phenomenal, okay? It can help you with navigation. So can the other ones. I'm not going to say their names though, because they'll all start chiming off all over the place. You know who I'm talking about though. We're going to talk about these digital assistants in detail in a couple of days, because I know you probably got one of these in one form or another as a holiday gift. And so I'm going to do a deep dive talking about these digital assistants. The Google Assistant, here's just a list of the myriad of things that it can do. You can even ask it to call your daughter, to remind you to take your medication. So get used to using it now, because it will serve you later. I promise you. Now, if you're wearing an Apple Watch, you can also talk right into your watch, George Jetson style. My dad does this all the time. I think it's great. He does no texting with his fingers because he says his thumbs are too fat, but he does talk directly into the watch to help him do things. If you love your device, and chances are you will, I really want to encourage you to put a case on it, okay? Put a case on it. The reason is that, you know, we're clumsy, we drop things sometimes, and the sides get bonked. I don't know about you, but I am not delicate. I am not always that careful with my devices. So definitely put a case on it that's got bumpers, all right? When you choose a case, choose a brightly colored one, because a bright red, a yellow, and orange, those are easy to spot colors. You can see them from across the room, okay? If you get a dark colored case, it gets hidden in files and behind the bed, and it just gets lost. So get a brightly colored case. If you're planning on using this new tablet as your primary computer, and you know what, a lot of my students do just that, because they don't really need the big computer anymore. They just need a simple way to email and to connect with family and friends and get online, do some shopping. If that's you, I want to encourage you to get a case with a built-in keyboard. That's right. This way you could just type away on the keyboard and still use the iPad as a tablet. If you need a keyboard with bigger keys on it, I understand those little keyboards, they're tiny. You can also get an external keyboard like this big bright one. You can email me or text me and ask me where I got that, and I'd be happy to share that with you. Now, one last thing I want to share with you, the utter importance of doing your software updates. I gotta tell you, about 90% of my tech support calls could be eliminated if my students just did their software updates. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Abby, you know, I don't want those memojis, and I don't want that new feature that takes my face and puts it on there. I don't want that. I don't use it. I'm not going to use it. But in every single software update, you know what you do want, no matter what? You want the security patches. Yes. In every single software update, there are security patches, which makes your device more secure. And I've got to have that for you. I need you to be secure on here. So I need you to do the software updates and to keep your device functioning the way you expect it to. Now, sometimes it says it will automatically do those updates, and that's great. But once in a while, usually once or twice a year, you're going to need to manually make it happen. Okay, so just keep your eye out for that. Number one in the settings app. When I see that number one, you know what I think? To me, it looks like a check engine light. And I know, and you know, we would not be driving around in our car forever without getting that check engine taken care of, right? You just have a couple of days where you could get by. I do not want to be stuck on the road with the kids when I could have prevented something. Well, now, guess what? We're kind of out of time. We did what we needed to do. Y'all sent in your questions, and you could still do that anytime. You can email or text them to me right now. I'll be keeping my eye out for them right now. And if you liked this, if this was helpful for you, if you feel like you want to keep this going, and I hope you do, because we want to offer you tech workshops, tech concierge programs where your community can have 6 hours of tech support per week and private sessions. Let's keep this going, because we just touched the tip of the iceberg here. That's it. And if you think your community would benefit from these workshops, which we do, they're an hour long, they're live, you can ask questions, I can see your beautiful face, and I can address things and your needs as you have them. I want you to tell your executive director today, and also let your activities director know you want this, because we would love to serve your community. Now, if you reach out to me today, I'm going to give you 20% off your first tech session, which I would love to help you with. We could help you with Macs and PCs, iPhone, your tablets, your printer. Well, we have gotten so good at helping people remotely over the past couple of years, and we would love to support you as well. Additionally, if you want a beautiful diagram sent to you, I want you to go ahead and email me today, and I will send that to you right after the class. Okay? Would love to be able to do that. And if you want more, a lot of my students do, you can always find me on Facebook. I'm there every day, usually posting different things, different tech tips and whatnot. And if there's a topic that you want to know more about, if you have any questions about the tablets we discussed today, about maybe which one you should get if you're thinking about upgrading your tablet, if you are thinking maybe you need a new phone and you don't know which model you should get, and how many gigabytes and all that other wonderful stuff, then I want you to reach out to me today and let me know. Now I'm going to go ahead and end the screen share. I'm going to take a quick peek at my phone down below and answer some of your questions. Okay, great. So it looks like I have someone from Homestead Village, which is awesome. Welcome. And you have a question about what type of phone you should get. Here's what I'm going to tell you. And I don't know what kind of phone you already have. But what I always tell people is this: go with what you know. Okay? Go with what you know. What does that mean? Well, if you're using an iPhone and you love it, then I'm going to recommend that you stick with what you love. Go with what you know. If you're using a Samsung Galaxy, stay with the Galaxy. You're going to be so much happier if you go with what you know. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to accept your daughter's iPhone if you don't know how to use an iPhone. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to get a cheapo Android device. I'm not going to name names, okay? But I'm just saying, go with a Samsung, go with a Google Pixel. Don't go off brand, because you will hate yourself for it. And you will end up spending the extra money in tech support than you do paying for the phone up front, okay? So go with what you know. If you're using an iPhone 8, for instance, and it has a home button on it, and you're used to that home button navigation, tap 1 to get back home, tap 2 to swipe up an app, go for the iPhone SE. That is the only iPhone model that still has a home button on it, and it's a new release. Sure, you could get a 2022 iPhone. I'm fine with that. You probably don't need all the brand new bells and whistles. You don't. I don't. Not a lot of us do. So go with what you know. Now, mostly, my students are not data hogs, okay? My kids are, but my students typically are not. And what that means is that you could opt for less storage, less gigabytes, and go with the one that's less money. Chances are you're not going to max out your data or your storage, because you're not downloading things constantly from the internet, making movies on your phone, and making playlists with music and videos the way my kids are. So to recap on that question, which was a great question, Homestead, thank you. Go with what you know. If you like your iPhone and you know how to use it, stick with the iPhone. If your iPhone has a home button on it, go for the iPhone SE. If you're okay without an iPhone and you're okay with that swipe up technology, you can get a 13, you can get a 12, you can get the 14 if you want it to be purple. I get it, but go with what you know. If you're comfortable using an Android device, stick with the Samsung Galaxy or the Google Pixel. Anything else is gonna give you a headache, and I don't want that to happen to you, okay? If you like your flip phone and you're good with it, well, Lively makes a wonderful flip phone. It's called the Lively Flip 2. It's a great flip phone. It's got nice big buttons on it. It has a voice alert. You could talk to Alexa, a magnifier, and a camera. Truly, anything you could possibly want, right? So y'all, we're out of time today. I'm going to see you back here tomorrow. I want to thank you for learning new things. I want to thank you for joining me. It's my pleasure and an honor to serve you. And I'll see you back here tomorrow.